Yeah. In method declaration and calling of the method concept, we discussed return type as value type, and we discussed return type as a void type. And what's the difference if the return type is a void type and a value type when it comes to calling the method? Method calling process will remain same. The process of method calling is we have to create the object first, then followed by using object reference dot method signature. So this is common even though it is a void type or value type. But when it comes to printing, when it comes to printing or reusing the result, printing or reusing method result. So if it is a value type, what are the possibilities? We can call and catch from main method, and also we can call and catch and print from the from main method. Also we can print it, correct or not? And also we can print from declared method. From declared method also we can print it. But when it comes to void type, is it allowed to, this is catching from main method, this is printing from main method. So here, can we catch from main method if it is a void type?
No, sir, not possible.
No, this is not possible. Can we print from main method?
No, sir, that is also not possible.
Can we print from main method?
No, sir.
Only declared method. Within declared method only we can reuse the method result if it is a void type. Catching from main method, not possible. And printing from main method, not possible. Only from declared method. If it is a value type, all three are possible. If it is void type, only this one is possible. That's the conclusion of this. And we have seen the examples based on this also. So then followed by, we discussed about calling same class method calling. If both the methods are present in the same class, then what is the difference? From outside class, it's mandatory to create the object. But if we are calling the methods from same class, so is it possible to call same class methods by object creation? By
Possible,
object,
but
is it
not
possible?
recommended, sir.
Yes, it is possible,
Possible, but not recommended.
but not recommended, rightly so. Why? Because for the same class, if we create the object within that, it is unnecessary memory consumption. Same data will be loaded for no reason or for not required. And what is the other option? Directly by using method signature. So here object reference with method signature if it is outside, but within the same class means only by using method signature we can call them. These all are understanding, but I'm just putting as a points for your clarity. Yeah. And then, so if you are using the same class method calling approach, instead of calling multiple methods from main method, we can only call one method which internally executes all other methods as well. So that is a method calling concept which we discussed already, and it's a brief of it. So then followed by, when it comes to these methods and their usage, so always whenever we are passing the values at the time of method calling itself, then that's a static kind of output. Every time it gives the same output only. So for giving the dynamic inputs, for using or for dynamic inputs, what is that we discussed in yesterday's class? So to give a dynamic input, we
Scanner.
discussed about the scanner class. So scanner class is present in which package? It is not directly available. And here is one more point for your interview purpose and also for knowledge also. By default, a Java program, whenever we create a class, then by default, java.lang is a package which is available. Even though we are writing the import statement or we don't write it, this is available for every Java file. But scanner class is not present in java.lang package. Therefore, we have to import. So for that, import is a predefined keyword in lowercase letters. Then which package name? Space java.util package. Then inside this, scanner class is there. Inside this, scanner class is there. So since it's a class, S has to be captain. And yesterday, one of you asked, instead of this scanner class, why can't we go for java.util.star approach? Yeah, this is also right. Then what is the difference which is recommended? Yeah, if you get a
Star
cross
is
question like
recommended.
this, using a specific class name is recommended or using a star approach is recommended. Why?
Star is recommended, sir, because in star in util package, what and all is there, it will automatically come. But if you put scanner, only scanner will get used.
Okay, so from online, I'm getting the answer as star is recommended because it loads all. And here, which one? Specific class or star is recommended? Yeah, so here is a concern. Do you want to use all the things, all the classes which are present in scanner util package, or only scanner class you want to use it? Only scanner class, right? So if you are using this star approach, it loads all the files into our program. It loads all classes into our program. But this loads only what this loads? This loads only scanner class. Now tell me, because we are using this scanner class, and once we execute it, the required things only will be loaded into the memory if you are using a specific class. But if you are using a star, even though we are using scanner, but in assume that in this there are some 100 other classes are there, then those things also will be loaded into our file or not. It's unnecessary weightage to our file or not. Execution time will be delayed or not. So these all are the disadvantages when we go for a star approach. Until unless you want to use multiple, then don't go for star approach. And if you know specific file names, then it is always recommended to go with a file name only. For example, there are 10 classes are there. I want to use only one, then go for specific file name approach. So there are 10 classes are there. I want to use 9. Then in that case, then go for star approach. That's how the recommendation is. Yeah, Prashant, clear?
Yes, sir, got it.
Yeah. So scanner class is present in this Java, java.util package, and this is the import statement which you have to add. So then, so by using scanner class object, so the object for scanner class is little different from a normal classes until we know constructor concept. Just follow this. Those who knows constructor, you'll understand it. Those who didn't, we didn't cover the constructor concept. That's why for creating object for a scanner class, what is the syntax? Scanner, some programmer defined object reference, then a new, and then scanner. And here it is a important thing. System first yes has to be capital dot in. Then this in is nothing but input stream. Those who complete the files concept and all, they understand it very easily. System is a class and in is nothing but input stream which belongs to that particular class. And then by using this scanner class object to access methods from outside class with object reference dot method signature. So for reading any int value from scanner class, what is the approach? Which method? Next int is a method, and we discuss the naming standards. It's called as camel naming standards. First word small, second words first character uppercase letter. Java developers have followed it. Even we are followers of Java, then we must follow the same rules. Then sc dot next float for reading any float value. The next one for string, and I'll tell you the differences. But sc dot which method? Only next method for string. Sc dot next line is also one more method. There is a difference. There is a difference. At an appropriate time, we'll discuss. So this is what. So to give a dynamic input from the keyboard or from the console, so by using scanner class, for using that first import statement, then create the object, and by using this object reference, use the appropriate method depends on the program requirement, whether it is int or float or string. Clear? Then after this, quickly we discussed about the naming standards. I don't go for the same detailed description. When it comes to naming standards in Java program, we have to follow it. Otherwise, it's an unprofessional way of programming. There are two naming standards. If you remember, can you please tell me? Pascal naming standards
Camel,
and camel naming standards.
Pascal.
What is this Pascal means? Each word,
First letter capital.
each word, first letter capital. And any space is allowed between two words? Any space is allowed between two words? No. For example,
No, sir.
we are giving some name of the entity as my class or my program. Yeah. Then my file, something like this. I'm trying to give it. So in this, three different ways I have written. So first of all, am I following the rule? Each word first letter should be capital. M, my is first word, M capital. Class second word, C capital. Again, M first capital, P capital. M, F capitals. So here am I using any space? No. Here I'm using what? Underscore I'm using. And here I'm using a space. Which are allowed and which are not allowed? First one is allowed. Second one is also allowed. Third one, not allowed.
Not allowed.
Then out of these two, which is recommended and how Java people have followed? First one only
First one is recommended.
recommended, and the second one is a even though it is allowed but not recommended. Yeah. What is camel standard means? First word completely lowercase letters, then second word onwards. Second word onwards. It means second word, third word, fourth word, and all. Second word onwards, first letter capital or uppercase. So this is the camel standards. For example, get area. Yeah. My name. Like this. So first get is first word lowercase. Area, second word, first letter capital. My first letter completely lowercase. Name N capital. My mail ID, my Aadhaar number, something like this. Then here also same underscore is allowed but not recommended. Underscore is allowed but not recommended. Then which entities has to follow this Pascal standards? Project names has to follow. The next class names has to follow. Interfaces also has to follow. Then when it comes to camel, which entities has to follow? Variables
Variable and methods.
and then methods. So out of these five entities, there is one more entity called as packages. Package also programmer will give the name, but for packages, not a Pascal rule is applied, not a camel rule is applied. Package name must be in lowercase letters only. It's a professional way. There is no first letter, first word, and all those story for packages. It is must be. Clear? Clear is. Then we'll go for the next important concept. It is required for every developer, which are the field that you are in. You mean Java, or you mean some other domains and all. That is debugging technique. There are three things. First of all, why to debug? Yeah. Then how to debug? Then what to debug? These three things we should have a clarity. First of all, what is debugging means? Bug means what? Some error. Some error. Debug means simply finding and trying to removing the errors. Removing the errors is the simplest meaning of debugging. We have to remove errors from our program. That's what is the debugging means, removing errors. Then why to remove? Sorry, how? Why to debug? Why to debug? Why to debug? Yeah, for removing the errors is only one reason. So debugging means removing the errors. So one of the reason why to remove is removing errors accepted. Any other reasons? If no errors, still do we need to debug or not required at all?
Uh, to know how the programmer has done the program,
Yeah,
debugging is necessary, sir.
exactly. So here I got the answer. When it comes to a real-time scenario, once you get placed into any company, for example, you are in the middle of the project. That company is in the middle of the project, a new developer they required, some existing developer left for some reason, you are into that place. So directly when you are into the middle of the previous project, will you understand everything directly? No. So you have to know what happened previously or what your previous developer has done. That's why to understand flow of the program or to understand flow of the project, so we have to debug. It's not only for fixing errors. So to understand flow of program or project, so we have to debug. Any other reason? Only these two reasons? Or do we have any other reasons? There is a third reason also. The reason is to, so in the previous class, I don't have those slide, but in previous class, I am saying JVM will jump from main method to method header, and that variable value will be given and enter into the method body, perform the logical tasks and return the values and all. So this is nothing but, can we see all those things? The values given to variable and all those things. Can we see or only we can see output? We can see it. That's what the next reason for debugging, to observe, to observe values of variables at runtime. So when a program is getting executed in the middle of that only, so we can stop it and we can see, okay, I am passing 10 to side of this square. Then is the side is getting really getting 10 or not? We can see it. Then we are saying side into side is 100. Is 100 is really assigned to that AR variable or not? Just I'm using the previous examples. So those things is nothing but to observe the values of the variables at runtime, we can debug the program. We have to debug the program. Yeah. The next and the fourth, this is the most important reason. And along with this, any other things? Any other things? Yeah. So those are done with exceptions. You should answer. You are done with exceptions, right? Yeah. Any other reason for debugging? So it is to fix logical errors, to find and fix logical errors. So here I'll take a chance to explain the logical reason. For example, for example, if you are using a area of the program, and in my logical part, so for area, by mistake I have written 4 into side. Yeah. So I am using area, some variable is there, everything is there. Assume that one of the line I'm writing like this. So what is area formula? Side into side. So if we pass side as 10, then we are expecting the output as 100. But with this, we'll what output we'll get? 40. Is there any coding error? Is there any syntax error? No, but there is a logical error. So we are expecting some output, but we are not getting the same thing. That's what we call as a logical error. Then instead of checking entire program, we can debug and understand, okay, this line I'm expecting 100, but because of this line only I'm getting 40. So that is how we can fix the logical error. So for that reason, we have to use the debugging. So these are the 4 reasons why we should debug a Java program. Clear? Next, how to debug. So for debugging, so we have to use a breakpoint technique. So I'll use a different color for your notes purpose also. So for how I am using this blue color, so by using a breakpoint technique, by applying breakpoint technique, we have to debug. What is this breakpoint? It is something like a speed breaker. So normally when we are going on a road, if a speed breaker comes, what we'll do? We'll pause. Yeah? Then we'll go slowly after that, right? Similarly in Java program also, normally JVM will execute the program. JVM will execute first line, second line, third line, and so on. It will do its job. It's a fraction of second, we'll get the output also. But here, there is something is important in this line of code. I want to observe. Just a simple print statement, meaningless to debug. But if it is a function logic, some 10 lines of code, 100 lines of code inside a function, okay, I want to know what is that flow, which is happening. Then if that is something is important, then here we have to put one breakpoint, a simple dot by clicking with a mouse on the line number. When we have a Eclipse program, if you just simply click on that line number, we are going to get some dot. That is called as a breakpoint. A breakpoint. Yeah. So it's a programmer's has to put the breakpoint because programmer has to know what is happening in my program or code. So that's why how many breakpoints we want, we can put it just by clicking beside the line number. I'll show with one example. As of now, just understand theory. That's how we apply the breakpoint technique to debug. Then who is stopping the JVM flow by applying a breakpoint? Programmer is stopping, correct or not? Then who has to continue? JVM will continue or programmer has to continue? Of course, JVM will only will execute the program, but who has to give permission? Programmer has to give permission. Then how to continue? Once we apply a breakpoint, JVM will stop and wait at that particular line for a programmer's next instruction to continue the flow. Then how to debug? So for that, we'll be using the functional key F6 on the keyboard. F6. What is the purpose of this F6? Once JVM comes to a particular line, if you are using functional key F6, F6 will make sure that JVM will execute only one line and wait at the next line, even though breakpoint is there or not there. For example, in line number 1, I am putting a breakpoint. There is line number 2, 3, 4. Then my next breakpoint is somewhere in line number 10. Here is the next breakpoint. But here, which key I'm using? If you are using F6, this will be executed and then JVM will wait here. That's what the purpose of F6 key. So F6 executes only one line at once. Only one line at once. That's what the purpose of F6. Yeah. Then the next functional key is F8. What's the purpose of F8? F8 will execute from one breakpoint. Sometimes, so here is something is important I want to notice as a programmer. Then after that, there are some normal lines of code is there. The next important point to observe is here it is. Yeah. Then do we press F6 and F6 for next 9 times? It's a waste of time. That's why we will be using F8 key, which executes from one breakpoint. F8 key will execute from one breakpoint to next breakpoint. That's the difference. Yeah. Then what if there is no next breakpoint? Assume in my program, there are some 10 lines of code, but I have applied in line number 2, only one breakpoint is there. But still I am using F8, not F6. Then what should happen? If no next breakpoint, if no next breakpoint, BP I am writing for breakpoint, then JVM completes the remaining program execution. Then JVM executes complete program. F8 means from one breakpoint to another breakpoint. If next breakpoint is there, then JVM will wait here. But if there is no next breakpoint, then it will complete the program execution. JVM executes complete program. That's what the how to debug by applying a breakpoint technique with the help of F6 function key and F8 function key. We can continue the debugging process. Clear? Next, so here I use third question, what to debug? What to debug? So for this, what to debug is when it comes to any logical task like method body, logical task, and also something like method calling process. From main method, we are calling a other method. Then in that situation, is it really JVM is executing right hand side first, then going to the method, then executing everything, coming back with return, and then coming back to left hand side? Is the flow is really that we are not? So when it comes to logical tasks or some important tasks, I could say. Simply don't int x equal to 10. Anything to debug there? No. Print x, anything to debug there? No, there is nothing much logical there. That's why only logical tasks are some important tasks only are recommended to debug. Don't put breakpoint every line. It's unnecessary way of stopping the program or not a professional way of debugging the program. So this is what a debugging means. Am I clear? Or shall I repeat anything? Or shall we go for implementation of this with one program? We'll go for, yeah. So for this, I didn't remember whether I have given this question or not. That is finding some of the squares of first n numbers. Did I give that? Not given. Okay, I'll use that program even to discuss a program and also at the same time to discuss debugging technique as well. So I'm moving to a Java project. I'll name this as number. It's a number based project. Inside this, I'm using a keyboard shortcut. You know all these things. So I'm going for package. So I'll name this com dot grads dot method calling. In this method calling only, I'm going to implement scanner class, everything and all with one, because yesterday I didn't show, I think. Did I show scanner class execution? Yeah, I have shown through online compiler, but yeah, fine. Still, I'll repeat it once. If anybody misses, they'll understand. So inside this package, so I'm going to create a class. So first I'll name this as a class name like a numeric class, something, any name you can give, but follow the standards. I'm using one word, n has to be capital because it's a class. Then I'm not going to execute this with numeric class. I'm not selecting main method. Then within the same package, let me create one dependent class. So this I'll name it as some sample. And yes has capital. Then I'm selecting main method for execution. Click on finish. So here is my first independent body. I double click on this. Inside this numeric class, so just quickly, I'll increase the font size. It's one time for everyday's usage. Yeah, so inside this numeric class, so as per the requirement, so what is the requirement? We can use a commented line anywhere. So here I am using a commented line. Write a Java program to print sum of squares of first n natural numbers. So this is the requirement. Then what is the formula? If you know, n into n plus 1 by 2. n into n plus 1 by 2. That is the mathematic formula. Okay, so for this, we are going to write a Java code. This is the formula. Clear? Now for this, with understanding what is input, how many unknowns are there? Only one, called n. That's fine. One unknown. And if we just find the square of some of the numbers, the result is going to be any float or the result is going to be integer. Always integer only. So with this understanding, I'm going for method public int, then next get first word sum of squares. So this is method name. Which naming standard I have to follow? Camel naming standard. Am I following or not? First word get completely lowercase. Second word sum, yes capital. Third word of, O capital. Fourth word squares, yes capital. Yeah. So then, so with our understanding, one integer type of variable called n. So since return type is there, we have to give that. So ignore as of now that error. Complete the code. Int some sum is my variable equals. So how do you write this n into n plus 1 by 2 in Java code? N into means asterisk, then n plus 1 in parenthesis, then followed by backward slash 2. Yeah, sorry, clear? Next, forward slash this. Then next, since return type is value type, return that some variable. Clear? Next. So to execute this, first I'm saving here and I'll go back to. So in numeric class, there is a method called get sum of squares from sample.java file where main method is there. Then let me go to, yeah, so here. So what is the first thing to do? Create the object. What's the class name? You can see the file name here, numeric, right? I'm using control space. There is a numeric, some n equals new control space, then followed by, how do we call a method? Yeah, object reference is n dot method name get sum of squares is a method name. Yeah. So if you just observe, this get sum of squares is a predefined method or it's a programmer defined method. Yeah, we defined method.
Program
Now,
are defined.
yeah, now if you just observe, so whenever we see from the IntelliSense window, the method name we can see get sum of squares and int n, it means it is expecting one integer input. Second, after this colon symbol, next int is there. What does that int means? Method name, input, then return type. What's the method return type? Int. That's why this is what it is showing. Then what is this numeric? Class name. In which class that method is present. This is how, if one developer tell you the class name, okay, they will not share the entire code. Okay, I want to access your method. Then what they will say, they will not say all this in story and all. They'll say, okay, this is my class name, use it. So we have to create the object using object reference dot operator. Then immediately from IntelliSense, we'll get the information of what all methods we can access based on the class object reference. Yeah. So here is the complete information we can understand from IntelliSense only. Nothing needs to be explained. Yeah. Logic nobody will share. Only method names they'll share. So here I am passing one value for time being. We will implement the scanner class later because it will throw error. So then followed by, we can store it into any integer variable. I'm using some variable name called as result of it. Then to see the output, or we can use this result variable for further transactions if required. But for us, let me keep it simple. Sysout control space. I'm printing the result variable. That's all. Yeah. Now this will give only output for 10. Correct or not? Let me save it. Control F11 is my keyboard shortcut. Okay, I'll use this button. Maybe console window. Yeah, 55 is the output. If you want, you can calculate and cross verify. Is it correct output for sum of squares of first 10 numbers? Yes or no? So for example, so what is it? First 1 square, 1, 2 square, 4, 3 square, 9, 16, then 25, 36. So here only it is becoming more, no? Then is it correct or wrong? It is wrong. Wantedly, I made the logical error to make you understand the debugging technique purpose. Sum of squares of formula is wrong. Yeah, that's how we are going to get the errors, right? That's how we are going to get the errors. Correct or not? Yes or no? Yeah, now here is a logical error is there. Any syntax error? Any code wise error? No, there is a logical error. Then how do you rectify? Okay, I understood that is a formula. I forgot that is a formula. I used it. Now what's the correction here? Yeah, first of all, what is the change in formula? N into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 by 6 is the formula. By 6 is the formula. So now here what I have to add? N star n plus 1 again asterisk, then 2n means 2 into n we have to use it. It will not work if we just write 2n. Then plus 1 by 6. Correct or not? Now let me save it. So for our understanding, let me keep a small number. So I'll keep some 4. Okay. Then before we get the output, now tell me 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9, 4 square is 16. How, what should be the output? 16 plus 9, 25 plus 4, 29 plus 1, 30 has to be the output if the sum of the squares of the formula is right or our logic is right. Okay. So this is normally we are going to debug and understand in which line we are not going to get the proper output. Okay. So here, now let me execute by control F11. Yeah, I don't know, it's not working on my keyboard. Let me use here. Is it correct? That is our answer, expected answer, right? Yeah. So this is how actually I want to show by debugging. So for that, Next, scanner class I'm implementing with the spelling scanner. I didn't type the complete spelling, but I'm using a control space. You can see. Normally we have to import it, but this time I'm pressing enter. You observe? I didn't add this import statement, but with the help of IntelliSense, after typing some part of the name, just press enter. That import statements will be added by default. It's a shortcut. This is called as a managerial technique. Okay, where we don't need to type everything, just use the shortcuts for that. Scanner, then followed by what is the syntax? System.in. The next, so here I'll add one print statement. What is this meaning of this one? Otherwise, we don't understand what to do from the output window. So enter a natural number. More clearly, I'm writing to find sum of squares. Some meaningful message. Then which method we have to use from scanner class? Integer input we have to read it. Therefore, use the next int method. Now this is the next int method, right? Any inputs are there? No. What's the return type? Integer. Which class it is present in? So that's how we have to understand the method. So by mistake, if you are giving input, then it's wrong. Then how to catch it? Because it is return type is integer, then use int, then some variable of programmer choice. And in place of this 4, now I want to pass the text variable. Clear? Clear. Then here I want to add something meaningful message, that is the sum is, or sum of squares is, sum of